we have our guest in person of Adeniyi Ifetayo, who is a media analyst, a friend of the house, joining us virtually to analyze some of these headlines. Good morning, Adeniyi Ifetayo. Thank you for joining us on the Breakfast Cafe this morning.
Yeah, good morning. It's my pleasure to be here once again. Greetings from Manchester. Let's do this.
How is Manchester this morning?
It's a bit cold. They're about to enter winter anyway.
Right.
But Nigeria, we know they carry last. No be worry.
So you won't be in the country with us to celebrate Nigeria at 64 tomorrow, right?
No, I will celebrate here. Let me see how the Nigerian diaspora, how they feel, how they celebrate our independence. Then I'll bring the report back on Wednesday.
Okay, fair enough. Absolutely right. But let's kick off with the last headline, or one of the last stories we took before we went on a break, disturbing one, on the Daily Trust newspaper. Residents and the Nigerian Air Force have disagreed over the killing of scores of persons in an airstrike on Friday. Now, according to reports, this happened in Kaduna State, and the residents allege that some of the victims that were killed were worshippers at a mosque. But the Nigerian Air Force have claimed that this airstrike in Kaduna, which was at the Jikada-Kolo village, was only targeted on the logistic base of terrorists. Let's have a conversation quickly about this incident. The last incident that happened like this was on the 3rd of December 2023, where the Air Force bomb attack at the Tulumbiri in the same Kaduna State killed about 100 civilians. And we're getting another report like that. Let's talk about our intelligence. There seems to be some sort of loophole and a gap where we say we're trying to target terrorists, but at the end of the day, civilians are caught up in this. Let's get your perspective on this and how we can progress from this moving forward.
Yeah, it's been too many errors on the part of our authority or force or intelligence gathering. This is not the first time or the second time. I think our force needs to do more in getting their intelligence. And even if you said, a place you are targeting terrorist location. So what happened with a grand assault? Since you are very sure that this is where they are hiding at. And sometimes, don't let us forget, once in a while, some of these terrorists, they normally use what is called human shield. Yes, just like they said, some of them live among us. Some of them might even be our friends, but the fear of giving them out sometimes, in the name of, sometimes they said they are fighting for their national cake. All the same, but I think our security forces, they need to do more intelligent gathering in making sure that if you're saying, just like what happened between Israeli and Iran, where they have a targeted strike, you understand, and they are telling civilians, if you live in this certain area, please evacuate, because we are going to strike. You understand? I've never seen where our naval forces or the military or the air forces are saying, oh, if you live in this certain area, because they know that some of these terrorists, there's what they call human shield. They want to use them and they'll be saying, no, don't leave. So that one, you can easily absorb the military or the nav of any wrongdoing, because they've said, we have an information that there's one of the leaders or one of the commandants of Boko Haram, as it were, living in this certain quarter. But in our own situation, we don't have anything like that. They said if you want to be smart, you need to play your game with someone who you consider smarter than you. So if Israelis and they have such intelligence, I think there's nothing wrong if our military could approach them. What are the software? What are the data? How do you do this? So that we can send some of our men to learn this intelligence. And don't forget, most of these assaults, most of these weapons, most of these rifles are sorted abroad. So there's nothing wrong asking for help when it comes to intelligence gathering, so that you will hit the nail on the head instead of causing some casualty and, people that maybe going about their daily job, or they just went for the mosque or church to go and pray or to...
Adeniyi
so that's what I think. Yes.
But we have an agency called the National intelligence agency. Do we have to go outside again to sort for intelligence when we have an agency that is also supposed to be spearheading that aspect? What's the collaboration or the sync between the Nigerian Air Force or the military at large and the NIA? Aren't they supposed to be working
Yes,
together?
you can't. Yeah, they are supposed to be working together. Even with NIA, you can't continue to do the same thing and expect different results. It's not possible. If what you had in the last 20 years have been unfaithful and now is failing you, I think it's high time they upgrade, to there's what they call train the trainer, you understand? So going for a retreat, going for more courses of, we're in the world of digital age where technology drives so many things. So there's nothing stopping you for, acquiring more sophisticated information or data or what they call hard drive or soft drive, whatever it is. So with our NIA and now they're supposed to be working hand in hand. So if there's a break in communication, I think the government need to step in because this thing has becoming too many in recent times. So above all, they should up their games. That's what I can say.
All right, thank you very much for that. I would like to move your thoughts to what is happening tomorrow, which came out on the Vanguard newspaper. October 1st, police deploy in state as organized insist on protest. Now, let's have your thoughts. What are your thoughts and hopes about tomorrow's protest as we also celebrate Nigeria's 64th independence? Looking back 2 months ago, the End Bad Governance protest, the effects and outcome, and now we are having hashtag Fearless in October. What are your thoughts?
Yeah, first and foremost, I just pray that it won't end in a bad way. And I also hope that it will not be hijacked. And I also hope that it will not be a time for those miscreants, to destroy or to vandalize government property, as it were. So, and I'm sure those who are leading the protest, they should learn from what has happened in the last 2 months, the prosecution, even those that were arrested, whether they did it or not, that one is left for the court to decide. So, and as enshrined in the Constitution, the right to protest. So, and I'm also hope the police authority to protect every citizen that want to hear their grievances. And like one of the protesters was saying yesterday that what government promised, he said that I will dialogue with you. He said not single one that the government has done, or has called them for a dialogue or let's have conversation. What are you looking at? What are your demands? How do you think we can come together, to do this? And above all, I think all of us should think the nation first before any personal demand. Does it benefit majority? Does it benefit the nation? So it's enshrined in the Constitution. Let them protest if it is peaceful, and the police also should protect them. And if they are looking at, like they said, that they deploy police to some area or spots, they think that they might bring a kind of misunderstanding or cause trouble and all of that. So that's what we are talking about, that they should be proactive and neutralize whoever that want to hijack the protest. But
Right.
Every Nigerian has a right to protest.
Right. Talking about the right to protest, 2 questions. Now, I don't know about other states, but Lagos State specifically taking a cue from the last protest, and they've also stated it in this particular protest, that they have restricted the protesters to 2 designated venues, and if they are caught outside those 2 venues, they will not be allowed in. It's a process of breakdown of law and order. Isn't that a form of restriction in a sense of it? That's on one hand. Secondly, we saw what happened with the End Bad Governance, End Hunger protest that took place from the 1st to 10th of August 2024. And now seeing this come out again on Independence Day, do you think that people would actually be really interested, away from the organizers and those that are in support of the organizers, but do you think Nigerians, with outcome of the most recent protests, would be zealous enough and very willing to go out on Independence Day, considering the kind of country that we are in, to actually protest tomorrow? Those are my 2 questions.
Yes, of course. One of the beautiful things about the opposition is that it makes the government of the day to, to stand on their toes so that they make sure they do what they promise. Anyway, if they are going out tomorrow, yes, some people will come out, but Lagos State government, particularly, looking at what has happened in the past, because when infrastructure are destroyed or there's a breakdown of law and order, it takes a lot to recover. And it's the citizen, it's the masses that will still suffer. I could remember during one of the past protests where, what did you call this? Is it lag bus or what do they call it in Lagos now? A lot of them were burned down or destroyed, and sometimes
CRC.
I'll just see a lot of people standing early in the morning, to get a bus, or to get a vehicle down to their place of work. So who suffers? They say where two elephants fight, it is the grasses that suffers. You understand? So that's what I'm trying to say. They should look beyond. They should look at that and say that, okay, yes, we want to protest, and giving us two locations to protest, I won't see it as being restricted. It's just so that it is well coordinated, so that it will not be hijacked. So we know that any element that wants to do anything beyond that, they want to use it to cause mayhem or to inflict pains on the residents or those that want to go about their daily activities. So I'm sure some people will still come out, or at least we know is biting harder. And let's also hear what Mr. President, what he will say tomorrow, because we're saying that it's tomorrow they will declare having directing NNPC to sell crude oil in Naira, and anybody that wants to buy to also buy Naira, and some other incentive rather. So let's see what will happen tomorrow. But I trust Nigerian, they will also come out to protest to hear the area of their grievances, to the government.
Before Olumide hops on, one of the things that the organizers of the protest, Adeniyi, just stated clearly was the fact that the government of the day has intentionally kept the issues that they raised aside, especially President Bola Ahmed Tinubu's promise to engage with the protesters, and he has not fulfilled it. If we're going to connect this, we see these issues with the NLC, we see these issues with ASU, where it seems like they have a conversation with the government and an agreement is reached, and at the end of the day, there seems to be a breach of the contract or the memorandum of understanding. Now, taking this to the protesters, he's saying that the president earlier agreed to engage with the protesters and it had not been fulfilled. What are your expectations? Do you think this time around it will be anything different? Do we see the possibility of the president? We know he gave a speech afterwards, but they said he did not actually engage the protesters. Do you see that issue actually being addressed? And if that is, we will see a form of restraint from these protesters to an extent.
This time around, I think the president will engage. Initially, we don't know the organizers of these protesters. Initially, when he said, okay, come. And I think now they are being tactical or defined in their approach. When you just have a group of people, and you don't have leaders who does what, I think the protester or whoever that is leading them, it is high time they define their position. Like, I'm the coordinator of this is the release, Chibok release, or this. Just let us know this is the head. Don't just say one of. Everybody can be one of a group. So I'm sure they should have their leader. They should have all those things cut out. They should have all those things spelled out. I'm the one leading. So maybe on hunger in the land, or bad governance in the land. So let's have them, and so that at least if government did not have a conversation with them, they can still hide on that to say that we don't know the leader, we don't know who they are. And like the minister of FCT said that, is he on the Facebook, you release, you request for to make use of a portion of land. You come face to face, let's know who you are, the reason why you want to use National Square in Abuja. So those are the things we are talking about. They should be defining their approach. Once they are defining their approach, I'm sure Mr. President we engage with them and see the outcome that is beneficial to all.
All right, thank you very much for that. Let's move your attention away to what's happening with the NNPCL. A lot is happening with the NNPCL. Today they declare profit, tomorrow they're declaring debt. And on today's newspaper, they declared 22 trillion naira debt. Now, what doesn't make sense, I'm sure to other Nigerians, is that we have key subsidiaries with major debt. The Port Harcourt refinery, which has not even come into fruition, has about 1.9 trillion naira debt. Kaduna refinery, we don't even know when that would even come into fruition. That's 1.36 trillion naira. We have the NNPC gas infrastructure, 1.86 trillion naira, and of course, Warri, 1.17. Now, we still have outstanding crude-backed loans. I mean, we have $3 billion, $81 million. We have $6 billion. We have a whole lot. So how is this even possible? How is a refinery that's not even, about 3 refineries are not even coming to fruition, owing debt?
In Nigeria, sometimes the more you look, the less you see. It's just a pity that even what's it called, a refinery that are not been producing is so in debt. Well, they need to spell it out more, because I won't say much about it, because there are some instances they will say that even the bank, they will send you, even if you are not using your account for so many months or years, they will still be sending you debit alerts and this and that. So there might be services engaged that might not be directly, so it's not their fault. Security, maybe maintenance. So if you are not producing, it's none of their businesses. But that's aside. I think if it's not working, it's high time, if you want to overhaul, or if you want to call what's it called, PPP, private partnership, and come into place to manage it and all of that. If Dangote can do it, I think Nigerian government is not a rocket science for them to get some of these our refinery working. If for you to overhaul everything from beginning, you do that. But it's just a pity sometimes when they declare profit today and tomorrow they'll be speaking from other hand. Just like I said, sometimes Nigerian situation, the more you look, the less you see, until something happens and we know, oh wow, this is what actually happened.
Okay.
And of course, I think our anti-graft agency also need to do more to swing into action and call them for question. Let's look at your book, because I know sometimes the NNPC, they run their own expenses by themselves, they generate. It's not that they have a particular amount they budgeted for them. So It's just a pity. Just like I said, the more you look sometimes, the less you see.
Now, talking about NNPC running their budget for themselves, Sanusi Lamido, who was also a former CBN governor, said that the finance minister should have a sort of like an audit of how many barrels the NNPC is producing per day, but they do not have this record. And of course, again, we've not had any audit of the NNPCL. Do you think this is a deliberate attempt to cover up some things going on, or cover up shady things that might be going on in the NNPCL?
Yes, of course. It's just like you give somebody to run a company and no question is being asked whether he made profits, whether he made losses, or where the money goes to and all of that. But it's just to cover up a lot of things, just like you said, because if not, transparent is very key. When a leader is being sincere, he must be transparent for the follower to believe him or to believe her. So not having an audit, not even internal auditor, external auditor. I've said it in this forum many times that due to the lack of an external auditor, sometimes they say because we don't have an auditor, that's why we've not been able to audit the account. It's something that should be mandated. Even our members of National Assembly, those are the issues they should be tackling. Who is auditing? Who are the accountants? How many accounts do you have? What comes in every day? What do you produce? A minister have said in this in Nigeria many years ago that we only know how many barrels that we, crude oil that we generated in every day that are produced, that taken away to be refined, but we don't have the account of what they brought back to the country. So those are the areas that those are the loopholes that people, pillage onto to make themselves rich, to divert, the economy of the nation into some private pockets. So I think they should do more, because thank God it's getting clearer and clearer now that if you said that you don't have an auditor, I'm sure the government should appoint one, and they should be part of the demand for the protester tomorrow to say, okay, we want to see the account of NNPC, if not in the last 20 years, at least in the last 4 years or 8 years. Let's look at the book.
All right, that's a fantastic place to land. We need to see that report. It needs to be audited. On that note, we wrap up the conversation with Adeniyi Ifetayo. Thank you so much for joining us all the way from Manchester and for sharing your thoughts with us. Thank you so much.
Thank you. It's my pleasure.
We hope to have you join us live in the studio when you're back.
Yes, of course. I've made a promise at least once in a month. I started this month, so next month definitely tomorrow.
All right.
I'll see what I will do.
Enjoy the rest of your
you.
day.